Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever I may be watching this from. This is Cornelius Levinda, and I am here to continue another segment of Vectors Explained. Last time we looked at collinear points. Now we're going to continue from to components of a vector. Components of the vector. So here we'll look at the I and J format of a way of representing vectors. So the I and J form. I and J form. This is what we are going to look at. So we can have the x or y plane. Here is the y-axis, the x-axis. So movement along the x-axis like that, and then movement along the y-axis like that. This will represent the I, this represents the J. So movement along the x-axis is the I, movement along the y-axis is what we call the J, and that is the I and the J form. These are the components of the vector, where we represent vectors in form of I and the J. So earlier we talked about the column vector. The column vector, a way of representing a vector like this, x, y. This is called the column vector. Now, we can have a column vector and then use the I and the J format, or the form, which is the I to represent movement in the x-axis, J movement in the y-axis. We can have a vector Rs is equal to 5, 4. So Rs is equal to 5, 4. Using the I and J, Rs is equal to 5i plus 4j. So using the I and J, Rs will be equal to 5i plus 4j. That is how would you use the, this is in column vector, then this is in component form. So there are some things to note. How can we represent 5i and 4j? Let me show this on this XY plane. So, showing this in the X or Y plane, first of all, there are things that you need to note before I show it. I, movement in the x-axis, which is the I. The magnitude of I is equal to 1. The magnitude of J is also equal to a 1. Therefore, we are saying magnitude of the I is 1 unit. Is 1. It is a unit. Then the magnitude of J is also 1. This is why when you put the I there, you're not changing anything since it has a magnitude of 1. Modulus, as you remember, modulus symbols represent the magnitude of a vector. 1, the magnitude of something, which is 1, in this I and J component form. So, this is an example of how we can illustrate the vector. So, for example, we can have boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright. So, we have our 5i. 5i represents movement in the x-axis, the direction of the x-axis. So we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then movement in the y-axis, we can have our, okay, we can call this our 0. Our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then if I were to draw the 5i for j somewhere there, it is a vector like that. This is 5i plus 4j. That's how we would represent it. In column form, it is like that. So this is called representing the vector in the component form. And that is it for this video. This has been Cornelius Minda, and bye-bye.